Self-Help Graphics is a community arts space based on the East Side, founded in Boyle Heights in 1973, but started in the garage of Sister Karen Bocalero in 1970. So it's very much rooted in the need to create art, and was started up as a way and a space to give access to artists on the East Side to create, just simply to make art and to express themselves, particularly in a time where the Chicano identity, was still fairly new as a political identity, and there was really no access or space for Chicano artists to show or create work in more mainstream spaces. So Self-Help Graphics is really born of that. We've been around for 44 years, and we're in unincorporated East LA for almost 30 of those years, and have come back home to Boyle Heights in the last 6 years. What's really important about Self-Help Graphics is that it functions as a space to create fine art. Self-Help Graphics is known internationally for the print studio, for this incredible legacy of serigraphs and all types of prints. But in addition, it's also a space for just people to gather. It's a part of people's lives, and an incredibly dynamic space that is so hard to capture and just calling it a visual arts organization. And what's also really important for us, I think, is to also build and create some sort of pipeline for youth, whether they choose to become, artists or not. They are creative people, and they're finding ways to build skill sets and experiences that they can take with them into any career, really, but especially in LA, being the creative capital of the world, where 1 in 6 jobs is somehow directly or indirectly correlated to the creative economy. The type of experiences that people are getting here at Self-Help, it really helps integrate into that system. So we're highly aware of that, and a big part of that is actually our SOY Artista program.
SOY Artista is a 5-week arts programming, a total of 60 hours, meant for youth ages 12 to 24. It provides them the space to be creative. It gives them the opportunity to work with professional artists. With our art instructors here, they touch on various themes and mediums like silk screening, lino cuts, mixed media work, photography. And in total, it gives them the opportunity to create a portfolio to apply to arts-based high schools, as well as art schools and higher learning like Otis and Art Center. But more importantly, it also allows them to create their own pathway for a creative career. Some youth have developed their own clothing brands. Others are doing public art now, so it gives them the space to really find what they're comfortable with, what career path fits their lifestyle better. But more than anything, it also connects them to the professional art world of Los Angeles.
My name is Joe Galarza. How I got involved in self-help is more than 20 years ago, actually, when I used to be based out of Gage and Cesar Chavez. Most importantly for me was that they actually create their own voice, to voice their own voice through their art, and have their own style prior to copying other people. It's more about developing their imagination and developing their own style with them, and then taking that with them so that they can keep building on that, because a lot of the time as we get academic, and go into school and elements of education, what happens is that they turn you into a little clone of them, and you have to break away from that to really develop your own style and your own voice to art, what art can really speak through your imagery, but more than anything, I feel like you can't you can't see, you're allowing someone to see through your own eyes and your experience. So as you create and you actually share your art to people, then they see through your eyes that way. So really, for them to be a self-determined artist, you know, to really speak on behalf of oppression or even colonization or just issues of police brutality or issues that are really important in our communities and that we're dealing with really major issues like low intensity warfare in our own communities, if it's gang violence, to all these elements that we really need to build from that. And then if we can guide them in that way and really to find their voice, then I think we're doing our work. My favorite part of the week, I think, was I think working first hand in hand. A lot of the time we, us as young people or even just as artists ourselves, we have a different way of learning, you know, and we got to really like learn how to work with different youth, because some learn by hearing and reading, and some learn by showing them firsthand of how to create the image or even pushing their boundary, you know, of like for them not to limit themselves or confine their art and think that they can just like not say what they want to say. So we really got to give them that alternative or freedom to express themselves to the fullest, but at the same time to not undermine themselves either, to push that boundary in a way that they can really, like, they felt that they could never have ever been able to create a certain image if whatever they created at this moment in time, you know. But I think it's pushing them to really kind of working with them firsthand of really cultivating their experience, you know.
My name is Felix F. Quintana, and I became involved with Self-Help Graphics as a photographer around 2014, working with them to shoot the print fair and other events, and eventually coming down to the space, seeing some of the exhibitions. Art plays a huge role in my life. I pretty much live and breathe making images, and also been fortunate to teach. So really it's just something that I do all day, every day. It's something that I encourage others to participate in as well. The thing I hope the most for the SOY Artista participants is that they have a great understanding of process, and more importantly that they have the chance to see better, to be able to see the world through a different lens, and to show that it's really important that they participate and have their voice heard within the world through their art.
A lot of the time, like, students learn as much from students and teachers learn a lot from each other. Like, it's definitely not a one-way street. Those are like the classes that I feel most uncomfortable with, that I've always felt most uncomfortable in, are classes in which the teacher kind of, you know, takes that position of like all-knowing, or like thinks that, you know, they aren't there to learn too. And so I think that it's been cool to like be able to walk students through the process, but also kind of learn a lot more about art and this community, like through what they actually end up creating and through what they're designing. We may all be learning the same technique in terms of art, but our mental processes are like so different as we kind of go through the motions of it. And I think watching different people sort of come up with different themes and ultimately produce very, very different things, but like all sort of under that umbrella theme of art and activism that we've been trying to work through. I've really loved and learned a lot from seeing the different directions that people choose to take.
My name is Dewey Tafoya, and I have known about Self-Help, I think, from growing up in Boyle Heights in East Los Angeles. It's always been an organization that I think as kids we always heard about, either because of Day of the Dead or through punk rock shows. But it was always kind of one of those places that we didn't feel comfortable going to, just because we were kids from the hood and we didn't really think we had access to that, even though we did. But I got more involved with Self-Help through a program through college called Bioservice Learning, which was a community service class that was part of the Chicano Studies major, where we had to pick a nonprofit and volunteer with them. And I flipped through the book and I was looking at one of them in Maldef, and the ones that really interested me was Self-Help Graphics. I think for the main reason because it was close to my house. And then also it was something that I wanted to know more about. They made art there. I really liked a lot of the Chicano art, I think because I studied Chicano Studies and just kind of wanted to learn more about it. What I want them to take away, what I want them to learn is basically everything that I know and basically share all my skills as regards to printing, but not necessarily that. I think also pick up on my motivation for it, because I want them to do that. Like I want them to be like me, but I want them to be better than me. I want them to learn more. I want them to have all the resources I didn't have. So I think I want to be there for them. I want to help them create. I want to help them have all the stuff there for them so that they can make something, so that they can have an artwork, so they can voice what they want to say via art, via printing, via making a sticker, via painting, via spray can, and just being there. Being that person that wasn't there for me, I guess, is like an old cliche saying.
Gradually, when I first started, I was a little bit shy and unsure of myself. Like, I don't really see myself as an artist, but I do see myself as somebody who's creative-minded, and it's always been really hard for me to see my ideas on paper, but just as I've been doing it over the weeks, like it's what, the third week, it's become a lot easier for me to just kind of think of something like faster or visualize what I want to do on paper. It's a sun, and at the bottom it says, cuerpo es un espacio sagrado, and in English that's my body is a sacred space. And for me, well, I just graduated college, and one of the things that I was really interested in was the history of Latin America, but also religion. And religion tends to be kind of a sensitive area because when we look at Catholicism, we like automatically associate it as being something related to colonialism, but it's also something that is extremely embraced in our own Latino and Mexican heritage. And just, you know, you can be somebody who's agnostic or atheist, but you'll always praise La Virgen de Guadalupe because you were raised to do that. But we never see ourselves as being sacred, and I think that's something that's really important. I was a history major, and one of the things that I learned to embrace was our own stories. And I believe that we tend to invalidate ourselves. And one of the ways that we can validate ourselves and our stories is by seeing religion as maybe not something as a divine or something that we can't see, but maybe something more tangible in ourselves, and seeing ourselves as being sacred, and making sure that we're nurturing ourselves and our bodies and doing what's best for us, not just physically, but also mentally.
About different ways to, like mediums, to make my art. I didn't know anything about modern printing or lino printing or whatever. So yeah, so I just, it exposed me to like new ways to get my creativity. I was born in El Salvador, so and my family is Salvadorian, so I just wanted to make something about my culture.
I became involved with self-help graphics through the SOY Artista program. I came in the summer of 2015. I started keeping in touch a lot and coming for like events. And whenever I was asked to come, eventually I got asked to be part of the Barrio Mobile Art Studio. Transitioning from being a student, I guess, and now assisting, it's really fun. I think art is super important to me. Throughout high school, I never really practiced it because I was super like insecure and there was always someone better than me, and I just didn't do it as much. But then coming here, I think it's become more like a therapy, I guess.
Drawing and making stuff like really helps me kind of deal with things. Otherwise, I'd be really kind of nervous and angry, even more so.
Looking back into my historical background and knowing that we all came from a historical trauma, so that art made me learn how to heal myself.
And I got involved in self-help, I guess because I thought it was a really incredible space. They welcomed me with open arms.
I started keeping in touch a lot and came to as much events as I could, and now I don't get out of here.
I started volunteering and they haven't been able to get rid of me.